You didn't know there was lyrics, did you?
Usually they're subtle and hidden.
No.
You bring them to the top.
Yeah. No, you got to get them out there. You got to get them out there. So it's Linux Unplugged time. The live stream is up. This is episode 2 Diggity 13. Lucky 2 Diggity 13. 2 Diggity 13.
Now, diggity, is that a technical term?
Yeah, it's a quantifier. Definitely a quantifier. So, being that you don't like Star Trek The Next Generation, do you have any interest in the Orville?
Hey, don't slander me.
It's just what it is. I mean, you know.
It's not TNG that I don't like. I just like Deep Space Nine more.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now, Voyager, that's a piece of shit.
Boy, I just read a couple articles about it over the weekend. I shared one of them in the Trek Discord room. That's the best one. I shared the best one in the Trek Discord room. Friend of the show made it down to the set, got to walk around, and there's something that really made me feel good. It's because the same thing they did with the Serenity set for Firefly, and that is it's this like a multi-level connected set. Like there's stairways that go up to the next level. Like it's a real, like it's laid out. That is a good sign.
Yeah.
For some reason, that always really brings like a realness to it.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really good.
That did very well for Firefly and Serenity. That got canceled after a season.
Right. On Fox.
Mm-hmm.
On Fox, yeah.
Is the Orville on Fox?
Yep. Yeah, he's fucked. I know. It's too bad because it looks like a really well-thought show.
Who's the director?
Seth MacFarlane. Creator.
Well, he'll be fine then.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean,
because they'll eat up anything he does. But if your name is Joss Whedon,
yeah,
you're screwed.
Well, Seth MacFarlane probably makes that network quite a bit of money, I would imagine.
Just a little.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be better than Star Trek Discovery, which really hurts to say. The other major issue. What? Before I go into the major issue, you got to go.
Plus, he's also the guy that if you cancel his shows, they just come back again on another network.
Yeah. And plus, you got to figure he knows how to write a deal at this point.
Yeah.
But the other major serious issue that I have to face is I'm going to be on the road when the premiere episode of Star Trek Discovery airs. So I might need you to, like, back it up for me and get it to me somehow.
So, what audience member's house are you staying at that night?
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever I got to do. It'll be on CBS, so I don't know. Maybe I could catch it somewhere. The first one's actually going to air on real television. So we'll see.
I'll try to get it to you via perfectly legal methods.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, all you need is a CBS All Access subscription and your 4G connection.
Yeah, I might. That might be how I watched the first episode. Yeah, that just seems like a weird way to do it.
I think that we should all make those businesses fail.
Hey, Rick's here. Yeah, you know, today is a weird day outside. It was so yellow when I woke up. It was so yellow. It actually made the inside of the rig look super cool.
It's still kind of yellow.
Yeah, but not as yellow as it was this morning.
Yeah, it's like this weird, like, all-day twilight thing going on.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's probably because the entire state is burning down around us.
Yep, it is. So I need to find my Unplugged intro here. So,
You find that intro, I'm going to go get some water.
Okay, you do that. Good call. I don't know what's going on. Why is this not firing when I... It feels like these are firing too slow. I'm not sure what's happening. What's going on here? Okay, so here's the outro. Why is that not... GNOME MPV apparently is crashing at launch. That's great. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What is going on? GNOME MPV is apparently out of commission. Floating point exception. That's the error message it comes back with. When I try to run GNOME MPV, I get a floating point exception. Ikey! Well, let's do a quick software update and see if that's something that's been fixed. I'm not sure what's going on with that. That's disappointing because that's how I've been playing the intro music. So, kind of like to have that fixed in the next couple of minutes. Oh, everything's up to date. No need to worry, everything's up to date. Oh, fudge. Oh, jeez. Damn. Well, I guess we could try VLC. Do I have standard MPV? I do not. I do not. Oh my gosh, guys. Well. So the end of the dog days of summer. I wonder if we're going to start seeing more people trickle it back in. Now that people are going back to work, summer's over, parents are available, school, etc. So my GNOME MPV is totally broken on this installation of Solus. So I will not be able to launch the intro. So I'm going to try to see if maybe I can just...
So I had a reflection.
Oh, was it just while you were...
I'm on my way to get the water. And
yeah, just while you're getting water, yeah.
What you've done here, Chris...
We're done where?
...is you've accepted a Trojan horse from your competitor.
Who?
It was disguised as a gift.
You talking about Solus?
Yeah?
Because like he's on Late Night Linux?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's
Interesting. So you're saying this is a long con?
Yeah. He wrote a distro just to sabotage you.
Well, I did just try to uninstall and reinstall at GNOME MPV, which was surprisingly simple and didn't bitch about a whole bunch of dependencies, but it's still no worky work. So I think I'm going to try VLC, see if that's in the repo. Yeah, it is. In North Bend, can't see a thing, smells like smoke. Yeah. Yeah, I woke up, Eric, with ash all over the truck, and then I read an article by King 5 News that says don't brush it off because it'll scratch your paint. So you have to rinse it off pretty thoroughly. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Oh, the ash?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because it's like you can, depending on sometimes when you're driving, you can see it like it's snowing almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's really something.
Just wait until the western United States volcano blows.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so there is... So I got it working in VLC. So I have a patch, essentially, for this week's episode. But what I'd really like to do is... See, I don't know if
have
this
your
is the
software work?
See, I think... See, I don't know if these are the right intros, because Noah changed the names of the files, and we have multiple versions of the intros. We have, like, a long and a short.
Mm-hmm.
And one that has the whole lead-up music, and the one...
One has ducking.
So I don't know what... Do I use this one anymore?
Yeah.
I do? So that one didn't duck. So something tells me that's not the right one. So now I have to figure that out.
That's the right start, though.
Yeah, is it? It is. So we still do that, huh? It's so long. That's too long.
Well, we tried it short, but it sucked. So we switched back.
Yeah, I kind of recall that. Well, now I got to sync multiple damn soundboards to this. All right, so now here is, let's hear now. Here's the canonical soundboard version. So if I go over here, here's this. Yeah, see, but it doesn't sound nearly as good in mono.
No.
I need to put caster on. This is what I need to do. Is caster? It's a snap, right?
Yeah.
Is it also packaged for Solus? Do we know?
know?
Probably
I don't
not,
think
huh?
so.
So snap, huh?
Although,
Snap find caster. What? You think it's an old version?
no, I think it might be broken.
Oh.
But it might not be.
How do I know if it's the right version?
It should be.
So because this is version 1.0 and this is version.
It pulls from Git.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. All right. Let's try it. Snap install caster soundboard. Right. That should be it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Access
denied. Why can't you?
Sudo,
I know, but why? I actually thought it would prompt me. I actually legitimately thought it would prompt me. Because like it's not like we don't all know what's up right now. Okay. So while it does that, I need to update Dropbox to pull down the duplicate soundboard. See, now I'm gonna have this problem where I have two frickin' soundboards on my system. which is always confusing because then sometimes you start pulling. Anyways, that is not your problem. That is my problem. So let's see here. So
All right, Chris, I'll add cloud syncing to Caster Soundboard directly.
There you go. That's good thinking, actually. See, this soundboard has a beard folder in it, and I don't think Noah's has a beard folder in it either. So there might be more value to this folder than I realized.
Backed by exclusively proprietary cloud backends.
Oh, good. All right, so Caster Soundboard is now installed in the menu. But
does it run?
No, it does not run. It does not run. Although maybe the first one just took a minute. Yeah, that's right. I forget that with snaps. That first one just takes a minute. So it does, in fact, run.
Okay.
Son of a frickin' bitch, dude. That is awesome. So now I should, in theory, look at snaps, dude. Look at him go. So in theory, I should be able to, oh, shit. Confinement is a thing. Okay. So the issue is that the files for Caster Soundboard, those cart files, they don't contain the audio, though. They just contain references to where the files are stored, don't they?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
I doubt they would store the entire audio in there because that's a problem because the paths are going to be different.
Well, you can look at the file size, and if it's big, then they do.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that. So, where is that? Is it in broadcast assets? Where do we? No, those are stored locally on the Caster machine. That's where those are at. All right, so let's take a look at. So you guys won't be able to see this on camera, but I'm going to take a look over here. Dude, they're like 1K. They're like 1K.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to build a soundboard from scratch. So I can't import, but that's okay. But the problem with snap confinement means is that all of the jingles I need, all of the clips that I need to be within the snap confinement directory. You know what I'm saying? Do you follow what I'm saying? Like I have to move.
You can't do I
don't know.
Symbolic link?
I don't know. We could ask one of our friends when they get here, but for right now, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the 2 files that I know I need for this episode, and I think if I move those into Snap, Caster Soundboard. No, I think I'm going down the wrong path. That's the mount. But I think if I just did local sounds, I'll just call it that, local soundboard, with intercaps and everything, put that there, and then I do a new one, call it LUP, and then it generates me a board, right? Doesn't it generate me a board now? What's going on?
It should do.
Aha! There it goes. So it generates me a board, and then let's see if I can now studio, boom, local soundboard, intro, Powskis. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Not too bad, right? And let's make it green so that I know that's my go. And then we go in here, and we'll grab the outro file, and let's make it red so I know it's my out. And that's my little psychological trick I do for myself there. And now let's hear it. So is it not playing a damn thing? I wonder if it doesn't have access to the sound equipment. You think that could be a thing?
I don't think so. I think we have the correct.
No, I mean like because it's a snap.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like people would have complained about that immediately. Plus, that's installed as a snap too.
No, I don't think so. No, that's from the AUR.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that machine's running Arch. So this is where I'm lost now. Because this should be working at this point. And there's nowhere in Caster for me to set my sound card output, right?
No.
Yeah. So it's whatever
the default devices.
But we know my audio's working because I can play Spotify.
Huh.
But when I play over here,
How about if you run it via the terminal?
I think I am. I am running it via the terminal.
Well, it doesn't give any output?
I don't know where my terminal window is. I don't know because I started 2 of them. I'll run it again. Failed to load Gale, Altbridge, GDK module. Yeah, I can tell that. None of the session protocol specified or supported. All right, well, let's try just doing a new one. Call it fart, as we always do. And then it'll splash itself all over the place.
I don't know, Chris. I think you want to blame this the Solus crap.
Open this up. We'll go to local soundboard. We'll bring in our first file. And, okay, so now let's clear a line here. Oh, here we go. We have actually some also output right now on the screen. It says, maximum number of clients reached through also lib cannot access file user share also. That's what it is. It's because of you can't read the also config.
Huh.
Unknown PCM default. Could not open playback device default.
Well, I know it works on Ubuntu.
Jack
so-
server not found. What? It doesn't need jack.
Nope.
Maybe that's just like a fallback thing. So it's not good. So this doesn't work as a snap then, because this soundboard is expecting to be able to read user share also, or not even maybe the soundboard, but the cute stuff it's depending on.
It must be something to do with
It's a bummer.
with Solus, because it definitely works on Ubuntu. People have tested it.
Well, the
And-
thing is Solus has like spot on exact implementation of snap implementations that Ubuntu does. Like that's like the thing.
Yeah, but one of our friends here is the one that wrote this snap. So
So there might be something that has to be changed for this thing to be able to get access to the also config. Well, shit,
Yeah.
that was going to be really cool to be able to use that on this computer, don't you think?
yeah.
That was a dream for a moment. And now a dream that's been crushed.
Hashtag blame Wimpy/Bobby because I don't remember which one did it.
Let's see if you get the Ubuntu core issue. Cannot locate Ubuntu core notified. Anybody want to try it on their system, see if it works for them? Let us know. I'd be curious to know if that works for you. I guess in the meantime, so that's weird. So I'm kind of like in this weird position right now because GNOME MPV isn't working for me and Caster Soundbar isn't working for me, which is really kind of a pain in the ass, which means I'm really fucked for Unfilter. Wow. I have to have this fixed tomorrow. And I'm doing Unfilter early tomorrow.
Worst case scenario, I will get it figured out tonight.
Oh my gosh, dude. Why is the GNOME MPV one's weird. Well, so here we are. We are 10 minutes from show start, and there's no one in Mumble.
Maybe GNOME MPV is suffering from the same problem.
But we don't have a lot of people in Discord either, so I think it's just sort of a slow end of summer kind of day.
It's this Twilight.
It's the day before school here. So do we go with Plan B then and jump in Discord for the chat? I mean, do we have more people in there
I don't know.
than we do in Mumble? Could be something.
Currently, there's one muted person in the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah.
But if people want to hop in, whoops.
Whoa, watch out. It's there the whole time. There we
Right.
go. I see Mr. Tunda has showed up in the join queue. That's cool. Hello, Mr. Tunda up there, all the way up there in that queue.
Yeah,
See if it,
he actually reported an issue with the Ubuntu core stuff, but I was looking into it, and it seems like an issue with snap setups rather than that snap specifically.
Well, that was like close but no cigar. You know, like that got real. I got within striking distance. I've been able to use the caster snap. Can I? Micah suggested maybe I could reinstall the snap without confinement. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Micah, would you be able to give me guidance on that? That's something I'd be willing to check into. So is there like a snap reinstall command without confinement? I'm going to go Google that right now because that could be a way to do it. Snap reinstall without confinement. Google, go. You know what Hidea wants for her birthday?
What?
It's caused me an incredible amount of anxiety. Just like, you know, it's like she comes to you. It's like,
Is it a Windows box, Chris?
no, although that's what my son's asking for. No, she comes to me with one of these questions and she's like, I would like to have X. And I'm like, as a geek, that means I have to go down this rabbit hole of research. And she wants a really great clicky keyboard. She wants a really good high-end clacky clickety.
I mean, if you want a good one, it's not cheap.
That's, I know.
You can get decent ones for cheap.
So let's see here. Declaring confinement. To install or try a snap that is not using strict confinement, you need to use the dev mode or -- classic.
Yeah, -- classic -- dangerous, I think.
-- classic -- dangerous looks like. But then so maybe I would first do snap uninstall and then do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try this. This should all be pretty doable, right? Sudo snap. What is the command uninstall? Remove? Yes, it is. Remove. Oh, I'm sorry, Caster Soundboard. I love you. I'll put this up on the screen. Caster Soundboard. Okay, cool. It's removed. Okay, now I'm going to do snap install Caster Soundboard -- classic -- dangerous. Is that what I do?
Mm-hmm.
Dangerous option only meaningful when installing from a local file. Okay, well, let's
okay.
just do // classic. Okay, downloading caster soundboard -- classic. That's weird. I feel like maybe I didn't do that right. It feels like it just took that as part of the name, although it was taking dangerous as a real flag, so it must be parsing it correctly.
Yeah. So there's also apparently developer mode, and it says when installed this way, snaps behave in a similar way to traditional deb packages in terms of accessing system resources.
All right, I'm going to remove it again. And I saw the command for dev. So what is it's like -- dev mode or something?
Mm-hmm.
-- dev mode. I'm going to leave classic on there too. Okay. You cannot use classic and dev mode together. So I'm going to try just dev mode because I did see that as an earlier command too. -- dev mode. Look at me. I'm having fun with snaps, everybody.
Yeah, it says snaps will have access to the system without being restricted by app isolation and interfaces.
Sounds perfect for what we need. This is nice to have this option, I guess. Because I don't really care about my soundboard being confined. Because then I could actually point it towards the actual Dropbox directories where the real files live. All right, so let's try this again now. I will clear screen, so we have a clear board here, caster soundboard, launching. You give a minute for the first launch. When it's a snap package, it's got to mount that fuse file system for the first time and learn where its world is and come to terms with everything. And then, of course, it's got to search for that GTK theme it can't find. Then once it loads up, let's go open. Oh, yeah, Rekai. Oh, yeah. This is the good stuff. Look at this. Okay. Wait, is this real? Is this the real world?
Is
this just fantasy?
I don't know, Chris.
Caught in a sandbox. Escape from the confinement. So
I
it
feel like
didn't.
you're going a little bit off the rails.
It
Chris.
didn't work. It didn't work. So okay, but maybe it will work. Maybe it will work for other things. So let's do a new board. We call it LUP just in case this one works. We won't call the production one fart because that tends to stick around. And then we have things like fart in production tabs. Okay, so we just got a whole bunch of output there in the terminal. Okay, but nothing about ALSA yet, so that's good. Now let's go grab a file. We'll just bring our intro file in, and then, ladies and gentlemen, we hit play. No. Yep, same error. Unable to access file. Maybe that is a Solus problem. Maybe it's because there's no ALSA support on Solus. Let's play with that now. All right, so let's go down this route. Now that we've taken potentially some, I don't know if we have taken confinement out actually though. That's the thing is if I can't actually see my root file system still. But
well, does it give any output when you install it? Because it should tell you what mode it's in.
Well, it said
should say like confinement.
Well, I cleared the screen like an idiot, but it did say it didn't say. No, I didn't see that. It did see dev mode, like that worked. What was I doing before this shenanigans? Can't remember now. I launched Software Center, but it never launched. That's what I did. So I launched the Software Center. Software Center. Now the Software Center isn't loading. I bet you I need to reboot. I bet something's going on here. The fact that now the Software Center isn't loading. Like, this is either my Solus machine has just fallen apart on me. You know, the real bummer thing though is I got everything queued up.
Yeah.
Everything's good to go. All right, but I'm gonna risk a restart right before the show starts, which is gonna break capture. But I gotta do this because something's going on. This might explain why GNOME MPV isn't working either. And then we'll.
I cannot wait for the next OBS update, Chris.
Why is that?
Because the OBS guys did some kind of crazy black magic that even the black magic guys couldn't do, and they will auto detect the settings for the capture card. So you don't have to manually set it. That's
going to be so great. So for the record, the uptime on this Solus installation was 20 days. So this is actually, this definitely needs to be restarted because this is the first restart since it first booted after installation.
Yeah.
This machine.
You've done updates.
That that sort of speaks to some Solus stability there. That this is legitimately the very first restart since the first install.
I don't know, Chris. I just rebooted my Windows box for the first time in 6 months.
Yeah, I know, sure, but but when you first install Windows, like I know that it just like there's like 1,000 updates that install.
Oh yeah, I suppose you have the initial reboots.
Yeah, like so that I must have done some update, like a kernel update or something, or a library update. That must be what's going on because But the fact that it ran so solid for 20 days straight is really impressive. All right. Boy, that booted really fast. That's wonderful. That's great.
Could be because it's not loading anything. So
Yeah. We'll see. And Budgie definitely starts a hell of a lot faster than Gnome does.
Yeah. Gnome takes forever.
Yeah. Gnome so much these days. Oh, Gnome so much. So let's take a look here. So we'll go to 80, 30, same as, lock in.
If only you could save these settings, Chris.
Yeah. Escape from reality. All right, so now do we have access of my machine? Yes, we do. Okay, so let's take this one, and then we're going to get started. I just want to see if we can solve this problem. We'll give people a couple more minutes to show up, because everybody's running behind, apparently. Hopefully. Otherwise, it's just going to be the Veritunda show.
Isn't it Veritanuda?
Well, yeah, I don't know. You know how I... So Software Center has started.
Verituna?
I'm going to install also util... Oh, it's already installed. Yeah, the also shit's installed. The 32-bit shit isn't installed. Do you think I need 32-bit shit for Caster Soundboard?
Don't think so.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. I was hoping it was just a matter of Solus not having also installed.
Well, shit.
Okay. So that's all right. We'll worry about Caster Soundboard on this machine some other time. Boy, it is great to be able to just resume all of those tabs in Chrome. That is a really nice feature.
Man, where is everybody?
I know.
Not even WW is here. He's always here.
I know. Nobody's here, and Wes isn't here. And it is going to be, and neither one of us are particularly high energy right now. It's going to be a...
you need high energy, Chris? I can be high energy. Let's go.
Verituna.
Yeah, Verituna.
So let's go see if GNOME MPV works now, which is, I'm betting, totally fixed, which, thank God that's not a problem. So let's see, where was I at? Where did I find that soundboard? Okay, survey says...
Revelation. BIOS has OS in it.
Yeah, it looks like the soundboard's working. Good. So that's fixed. That's good. So I wonder then, by any chance, if Caster Soundboard works. I doubt it, but let's just give it one go. Bum, bum, bum. Generating a new one. I do like this soundboard. It's a little too button heavy still. You know what I mean? Like the interface is still really very, very busy. But very good. Oh, Rikai, right into the microphone?
We haven't started the show yet.
Me wishing that I had some sort of like caffeinated beverage that wasn't like totally riddled in sugar, but just something. What's going on, Caster? Come on. Why are you taking so long to generate me a soundboard? It's weird.
Listen, Chris, you can't call me out over my completely legal Washington bong.
This has to be a bug. Boom. There it goes. Wow, that was really something. That had to be a bug. All right, local soundboard. Boomsies. Gonna hit play. You ready? Brace yourself. It fucking works.
Nice.
That is great. That is so awesome. So that means we can use this machine. Oh God, that's so
Man, I'm glad that Linux is becoming more like Windows every day. Just reboot to fix your problems.
Now, I still have the problem of I can't get outside the sandbox to get to where I have all of my media. It'd be really nice, too, if the file browser like respected all of my favorites that I have in my regular.
Well, it's in some kind of non-confinement, Chris.
Yeah, it is. So the path that I need to get to is on a different mount point. So if it can't get to my /big mount, then...
you should see if you can do that LN-S magic.
Oh, just do a symbolic link?
Yeah, see if you can escape confinement with it.
Yeah, maybe.
Since we are in dev mode, apparently.
Maybe we could pick Wimpy's brain when he gets here. I hear he knows a few things about snaps. He may be able to make it later.
Is he gonna get here?
He may be able to make it later. We'll see. I see he's up there in the lab. Is anybody else going to be able to make it in the Mumble Room before we go? This may be, I'd say if this were to happen again, probably the death of the Mumble Room. We'd have to go, we just have to.
I think this is probably our lowest turnout ever.
Yeah. Yeah. We literally have one person in there. Mr. Verituna. Mr. Verituna. Oh, man, now I can kick it off. What's the command to stop it?
You just hit the key again, I think. Maybe.
Yep, that's it. Cool.
Are we broadcasting to the Mumble Room right now? I don't see us lighting up.
Oh, maybe something went wrong with Mumble settings. I haven't changed anything. You're right, I don't see us lighting up either. Well, that's weird. Do you see any... Where would I go for that? That's not something I change.
I guess it would be...
Audio...
Output. Or input.
Audio input. Continuous. Shouldn't we be... Isn't that right?
Yeah. That's...
Default
right.
device.
Default device is right.
Verituna, do you hear us in there? I don't see us lighting up. You're right. But we're not muted. Activate. What?
Activate apparently hides the window.
Oh my God. Is this just the worst thing? Oh, look at that. Output. Oh no, wait. That doesn't seem right.
Well, we need the input, not the output.
I know, but that's not the right output. Check 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Look at that. It's lost the USB device.
Huh.
It lost the Scarlet.
Did it get disconnected?
Let me look.
That has been a problem recently.
It's on and lit up, and levels are showing on it. What the fuck is going on with our gear, dude? This is
Do we need
weird.
to reboot this machine now?
I think we do. All
right, very tuna. We'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah, that is really... Well, Wimpy just showed up, too. Perfect timing. Yeah. I wonder if we need to I wonder if we should restart or if I could just unplug and replug just to kind of make it quick. Let me get by over there. I'll try that. Because that is some fucked up horseshit. Everything's plugged in. Okay, the Scarlet's off. Scarlet's on.
Yeah, it's there.
What the hell is going on? What is going on? What is going on with that? Does that make you a little unsettled? This machine just sits here all day and doesn't do anything. It doesn't...
On the other hand, this is the first time we've had problems.
No, it is.
We're supposed to be...
No,
near-
we did.
No, they're
It
back.
isn't,
There we
it?
go.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Ha!
Hello.
Man, we should have just restarted Mumble like 30 minutes ago. We restarted and like 5 people showed up.
Now I'm all spooked.
No, we've all just joined. We've literally all just come in the room
I
whilst
know.
you weren't here.
I know.
Like, wait for them to leave. Wait for them to leave. They've gone now. Everyone join.
Get in.
we just had the USB audio device just fall off. I don't know what's going on with that. It's very disconcerting because you treat it like an appliance. You just expect it to just always work, and then there's no indication that anything has changed. When you look down at the
Is that still on the Solus box or not?
no, this is I think 1604.
Yep.
Ubuntu 1604. I did just have
USB.
Wimpy. You missed my epic battle with trying to get a snap installed that didn't have confinement, so that way it could access my ALSA config and I could pull in my Dropbox. It was intense. It was play by play, but we got it through it, and now I have a soundboard under Solus using a snap package.
Ah, right. Your soundboard.
Yeah. And
Yeah, you know who made that snap?
I do. So what is the proper approach for me to take if I want to install it without confinement? Because all my sound clips are in a Dropbox folder.
You don't get that choice. The confinement model is typically it's the choice of the Snap publisher.
Okay. Oh, that's sort of a
You
bummer.
can coerce it by passing it flags, but it's not always possible to go from like a classic snap to a confined snap, for example. But it is possible to take a regular confined snap and run it in dev mode and coerce it. But
Well, see,
yeah,
that's what we did, but it didn't fully work.
No, it's not meant.
Yeah.
It's a debugging tool, not a run it in production tool.
Yeah.
So who made the caster soundboard snap?
Might have been me.
May have been.
Okay, in that case, you can maybe help my problem, which is it's asking for Ubuntu-core, and my system only does core.
Ah, that means your system's not up to date. You're running an Ubuntu of some sort, right?
No, Debian.
Is it up to date?
Well, it's testing, so
Okay. Well, I'll look into that. So the core used to be called Ubuntu-Core, but that was ages ago, and it
no,
changed.
that's what I mean. Castle Soundboard is asking for Ubuntu-Core, and I've only got Core, and it says, can't install Ubuntu-Core, call it Core now.
Yeah, it's the snap. The snap doesn't actually know what core images are. That's all provided by Snapd itself. I'll take that away and I'll discuss that with. I'll tell you what'd be really useful if you go to forum.snapcraft.io and post in there the problem that you've had. The whole of the Snapcraft team are in residence there 24/7. It's weird stuff like that we lap up. So if you could post in there what's happened,
stuff, okay?
Yeah, we'll follow up there. That's the best way to do it.
Well,
I'll do that now.
It sure was.
Well, at your leisure, but that would be really great to see.
It works. I mean, it sure is nice. So I just moved the sound files I needed into my home directory, and that got the problem solved for today. And so now I have a working soundboard on Solus, which is pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Okay, well, so I didn't have it. I was gonna have something for the intro, but I forgot what it was. Shit.
Should I be in Discord or
For chat?
IRC?
Yeah, for chat. Yeah, for chat. Yeah.
What was the answer? Discord.
Discord. Yeah.
That is
we're
the right
doing
answer.
we're doing
Thank
this
you.
for voice here for now. As long as everybody keeps showing up, we'll just keep using Mumble for voice. Is what I figure, because power to the people.
Yeah. I've not reconfigured my new IRC with Geek Shed, so if I can just fire up Discord, that is easier.
New IRC, huh?
I've switched over to IRC Cloud.
Oh, really? And this is a controversial move, apparently, because when I did this, I got a whole bunch of crap for it. But I think it's actually kind of a practical use, too, for IRC. It just makes it simple, and you set it up in one place, and you log in when you need IRC.
Yeah. So the way I've been doing it is I used to run ZNC on a droplet, which is an IRC bouncer, and that effectively maintained a persistent connection to the dozen or so servers and the thousands of blooming channels that I'm in. And then I had to fire up HexChat, which connected to that. And that was fine if I was on my desktop, but I didn't have a convenient way to do stuff on my mobile devices. And IRC Cloud is brilliant, and it even has IRC Cloud desktop app now.
Yeah, yep.
Which, lo and behold, is Electron.
Yes.
And now I just fire that up, log in to any browser on any machine, and I'm just there and on my phone. And when people ping me in the various channels, I just get notifications on Android. It's just glorious. I'm never going back. It's great.
The mobile support is really top notch. Since it's server-based IRC, the server always remains in the IRC room, and then the way they're able to send it to your mobile device is pretty smart. Of course, they have full support for notification settings and granularity there. It's nice. I kind of every now and then still like to fire up a traditional IRC client that's just connected to like a single room. But
I've
found it practical.
recently become enamored with Riot, actually.
Oh,
I haven't
yeah?
looked at it for quite a while, but Riot has inbuilt IRC bridging, as well as some other services as well.
Right.
And the cool thing about it now is that when you create a room, you can add your own kind of widgets to the room, including things like, GDocs and everything else. But what really blew me away was it allows you to add a Jitsi widget. So you can actually have a Jitsi conference room inside your Matrix room, and it looks exactly the same, as a conference room. Because
You know
it
what?
literally bridges to it.
I love it. I'm really proud of us. We managed to start talking about IRC, and we still brought it to Matrix. The Matrix hype is strong. It is, though. It's a good time for Matrix.
I mean, it's pretty impressive. Impressive, I think.
Yeah.
So, as the resident Quasel fanboy, there was just a PR that added server-side notifications.
Oh, really?
Which would allow push notifications to mobile clients as well.
That's great once I have time to set up a SQL server to run Quasel.
Well, just run it in SQLite mode.
Yeah, and that's bitten me. I've had problems with that. It's just been an issue.
It's not.
I just wonder how Slack would have gained its ascendancy if IRC Cloud had been better known.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it's not so different, because it embeds all of the stuff that you post.
It previews. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's not the integrations, not the same level of integrations, but...
And because it's server-side and always logged in, you have persistent chat log history.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm paying, but it's worth every penny. I've shut down my Droplet now, so I don't have the Droplet to pay for. I'm just paying IRC Cloud.
At the same time, IRC has plenty of other drawbacks like net splits and crappy file transfer.
I actually used the Skype calling feature for the first time.
Transfers files via IRC though? I mean,
exactly. That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
I
do.
really
I have with Skype. Or I mean, I have with Slack, and I actually use the Skype or the Slack calling feature recently. Like more and more, I find it's actually kind of nice to have that stuff because otherwise you have this juggling of what services do you have logins for? Where can you receive files? Do you want to meet on Skype? Do you want to meet on Hangouts? And if you're just already chatting in Slack about doing a call, it's just you hit one button and you're in the call. And those, or you just, here's the file I was looking at. What do you think of this? Those are things IRC isn't so good at.
Slack is better for file transfer than, say, Telegram, because if you're transferring images, Telegram compresses the hiney out of them, and they're rubbish. They're not suitable for using, but they're all intact when you send them in Slack.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get started, guys. Let's do it. Here is Linux Unplugged. Oh, I haven't changed the lower thing yet. This is a lucky 213. There we go. I don't know why that new messages thing keeps showing up. Maybe it's because I'm tabbing in and out on my browser over here.
Yeah, it's because it's not the active window. So
yeah, I gotta get a different account for the studio machine.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Here we go. Stand by, everybody. So when we come in, so I'll say this is Linux. So after I do my intro, I'll say I'm Chris, and then you will you can say you can say whatever you want. I'm not Wes. I'm Rikai. I'm the beer. You can say whatever you want, but I'll have you jump in where Wes normally jumps in. Okay, here I go. In a 3-2s. These gotta move. Misa gotta move. This is Linux Unplugged, episode 213 for September 5th, 2017. Welcome to Linux Unplugged, your weekly Linux talk show that's surrounded by smoke. My name is Chris.
And this is a less hipster, more bearded Wes, also known as Rakai.
All right, well, he might take that. He might actually take that. Yeah, Wes is out today. More on that in just a moment. But let me tell you about what we have coming up on your Unplugged program. We have lots of community news. Linus passed a few stones and a new kernel. Microsoft is turning Linux into the ultimate runtime, and I might be having an existential crisis about it. Hewlett-Packard just sent a Linux supercomputer up into space. We may be saying goodbye to Solaris. A major feature that all of you have been wondering about is coming to Wayland, finally. And GNOME's removing some more features, and they're pretty sure you don't need them. Although I can't imagine life without it. We'll tell you about that. And then later on in the show, Ubuntu's got something cooking over in New York City. The guys over at Canonical have a big party planned, a rally you might call it. We'll tell you about that. And then we're going to wrap it up with something that I think maybe when I say it's going to sound like, what? But stick with me. Stick with me here for a moment. There is a revolution in the works. And it's bots. And it's not robots. It's not like crazy AI. It's just simple bots that are going to replace our jobs. They're already in the works. We'll tell you about how Linux is missing out on this, why that matters a lot, and maybe how some of us here at JB are trying to make a difference about it. I know it sounds like almost like talking about VR. I wish it were true, but if you stick with me, you make it all the way to the end, I'll try to explain to you why I think that it's going to come harder and faster than any of us expect. And unlike self-driving cars, unlike virtual reality, or even just AI and machine learning in general, which are actually now starting to finally pay off after decades. You and I just watched War Games. Back from 1983, they were talking about this stuff. But they're actually starting to pay off. Bots, not going to be like that. This isn't one of those hyped up things. This is going to be something that scales of economy are going to ram down our throats. And Microsoft and Google are going to be the ones making all the money. But we'll talk about that later. We got so much Linux community stuff to get into, bunch of topics that I want to chat about. But before we bring in the Mumble Room, I'll just address Wes couldn't make it today. He's on assignment. He's like on a mission.
No, Chris, you're wrong. I've just been slowly killing off all of your co-hosts on all your shows.
Very good, sir. Smart move. Very Klingon of you. So he couldn't make it today, but we had, thankfully, Beard's been stepping in, so that worked out pretty well. And I because of this, totally blaming hashtag blame Noah, hashtag blame Wes. We're gonna punt on the Gen 2 challenge for one more week. I'm sorry, but look, I couldn't do it without Wes
Chris,
here.
It's okay if you're scared.
It's not that.
And the value of this is negative.
It's just without Wes here, it's not a complete challenge. So,
Sure.
And I got a couple of notes from people in the audience who've been taking the challenge. Most of them are done, but not everybody. So I guess it's not my fault. You know, it just happens. Rick.
So many excuses.
Just happens. Let's bring in that virtual lug time appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Hello?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hello. It's good to see you.
I crave ZFS.
So let's talk about some news from Linus. I guess when you get famous, even passing a kidney stone is newsworthy, at least over at the Register. Linus Torvalds has passed kidney stones and squeezes out Linux 4.13. There's a couple of interesting things of note in here. By the way, Linus is okay. He said it was 7 hours of pure agony, but other than that, he's okay. Here's some changes in 4.13 that I think are noteworthy for all of us. Finally, it's almost laughable. It is laughable. It's embarrassing. They finally changed the CIFS behavior, the default CIFS, which is basically the protocol that Samba uses to communicate with CIFS servers. They've changed it from SMB 1.0 to SMB 3.0. And Linus himself admits it's embarrassing that we hadn't done that sooner.
Yeah, it only took a few major vulnerabilities to make that happen.
It's naive. Now, the reason why it hasn't been a major issue is because Windows servers stopped refusing it around Windows Server 2013, depending on your group policies. So the server would then have to automatically try to negotiate up, but that takes time. And then it negotiates to the lowest common denominator that it can get, which isn't the best security approach. Here's what our friends at Canonical are probably excited about. This also is the mainlining of the app armor code that will tie to snap confinement. Is this, Wimpy, is not to talk out of turn here, am I right? Is this everything we need for app armor to be bolted in?
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
There's been an ongoing effort to make sure that all of that stuff got upstreamed for some time now. And there was a tweet by Dustin Kirkland a few days ago who highlighted that 2 of the Canonical kernel engineers are in the top committers at the moment because of all of the work that's going on in that space.
I saw that. Yeah, that is really impressive. So this is a big deal. This is 4.13. I think might also be the... is this going to be what the future LTS is based off of? Is that right?
I think it might even land in 1710. I'm not certain, but it'll certainly be at the start of 1804. I'm not sure. But the other interesting thing about 4.13 is this carries I think, all of the important patches for the GPD Pocket to run.
No
as well.
kidding. I missed that.
Yeah.
Ah, that's great. Now that makes me want one even more. Jeez, that is one of those toys that I really regret I couldn't have got at the time because I really am excited by stuff like that.
Yeah, I have one. It's really nice. I love it.
You do. You have one, do you?
I have one. Yeah.
Would you be happening to bring it to New York?
I will be bringing.
Let's
it to
talk
New
about
York.
that. Okay.
I have it on authority from the lead developer of Ubuntu Mate that there may be a GPD Pocket spin in the works.
Oh boy, how about that? That is so cool. So just quickly, are you satisfied with the purchase?
By and large, yes. The only thing that's a bit sketchy is the quality of the keyboard. Or rather, the only bit that's a bit sketchy from the perspective of an end user is the quality of the keyboard. And I haven't worked out yet if that is universally across all of them or it just depends what manufacturing run you had. Yeah.
So, you and I think we'll talk much more about that. But I wanted to cover some news that was happening right now. August 31st posted over at techrepublic.com. The Tech Republic reports that essentially the way I read this is Microsoft's trying to position themselves as the ultimate Linux runtime for people developing software on Linux and Windows. And this is insidious.
As long as you don't need a GUI. of any kind.
Right. Yeah. Good disclaimer. So Craig Lowen, I think is how you say his name. He's the program manager at Microsoft. He's showing off a new feature for the Windows subsystem for Linux. Yep, they're adding features, everybody. And what you can do, and it's fascinating, is you can chain commands together from different distros and call them from all inside of Windows. So from the Windows command line, you could pipe data output from, say, Windows ipconfig into OpenSUSE, which then could parse it for a few things, and then pass it on to Ubuntu, which then could do some other work on it, and then send it back to the Windows command line. And it all happens in under a second. You've run a Windows executable, you've fed that information into one of the Linux distributions, it's taken that output and feeds it into another Linux distribution. The chain of commands was relatively simple, just in this example, but it even included like taking out IP information, adding color coding. They also demoed the ability to run multiple Linux distros side by side in Windows, showing windowed versions of Ubuntu and OpenSUSE Leap 42 side by side, do it using different tools, just each in different command prompt windows. So as well as allowing users to run bash tools and commands inside Windows, the subsystem also allows Windows software and files now to be called from bash. So, is it just me? Or, I will admit I have a bias in this particular. I can't help but see this now as exactly what Microsoft did to NetWare, which was hugely dominant in the file server and print server space and authentication and directory services. Huge. And then Microsoft came in and implemented the NetWare compatible tools inside of Windows. So you could talk IPX, you could log into NetWare networks, you could use their network directories for file permissions and provisioning of, you could use the groups and all of it. And they gave it a grade A experience. And then they made it really easy to move over, and then they just slowly degraded that grade A experience until you just ended up using Windows. And I could see something similar where they do this, but with their real end goal is to get you to get everything on Azure, to get you on to you. Windows is the ultimate runtime. All right, well, if you're going to use Linux, if you got to use that freetard crap, then you run it on your machine under Windows 10 in a window. And then you run the services on Azure. I can't help but see it this way. I can't help but see it as almost as a contempt for the Linux desktop. It feels to me like it is a diminishing of the platform. I don't know. The more the features they added, I really hoped the subsystem for Linux would get implemented. It would be what it was, and it would just stay there. And it would just be a great, easy way to run Bash, which my co-host on Coder Radio has been trying. He says it's not perfect, but it would be a way to do it. But now this is actually starting to bug me a little bit, because if you are not really very comfortable with the Linux landscape, one of the hardest choices is which distribution do I use, or how do I maintain compatibility across distributions, especially when I'm trying to develop software. And now they've solved that problem, and they've solved it with Windows. Am I misreading this? I mean, this feels bad to me.
I mean, you could take the opposite tack and say that they're giving a good command line experience for these distros, which would ease the transition if people wanted to switch to a full-time Linux distro.
Yeah, okay, I like that. What do you think, Wimpy?
Well, I'll be interested to see how much more of the sort of polishing of the rough diamond Microsoft do, because there are a number of things that don't work in WSL that I think for many serious Linux users would be a showstopper. And also, I still feel like this is going after Mac's audience, Mac OS's audience, and demonstrating that you can have a solid Linux user space on Windows and provide all of those tools that front end and back end developers are using on Windows rather than leaving for Mac OS.
Yeah, you're right. It probably is more of an assault against Mac OS, or stopping the bleeding, might be the other way to put it.
I think, I don't know that many people will come back, but it might stop a few from leaving.
Yeah.
But if these features keep coming, maybe it will attract some people back. I don't know. I don't know enough about the mentality of developers using Mac and what's important to them to understand why they would choose Mac over Windows.
Now,
I'm quite curious though, actually, because obviously Microsoft invested quite a bit again into the whole PowerShell experience, and the fact is, Garrett, they're going to be dumping that in favour of Linux. Which makes me wonder again exactly what direction they think they're going to go in.
Are they dumping it? I don't think so.
No, I've not heard that. I mean, certainly PowerShell's available for Linux as well now.
Yeah, and the thing is there's a whole ecosystem of Windows admins that are using Microsoft tools all day long that have no interest in Linux subsystems. So I don't think they could replace it.
I mean, you could make the argument that they could maybe just integrate PowerShell into the Windows subsystem for Linux and just make it one nice big package.
Mwahaha. Mwahaha. Well, there is one more step to this world domination that Windows is driving for. It's on the tip of your mind, I know. It's the elephant in the room, and its dominance is impossible unless they implement this feature. Obviously, I'm talking about ButterFS support. So, posted on GitHub this week, WinButterFS version 1.0. I guess it probably wasn't posted this, but this update. WinButterFS, as you might guess, is a Windows driver for a next-generation Linux file system. And by next generation, well, that's a very polite way. It's more like the Voyager of Linux file systems. It's a re-implementation from scratch, so what could go wrong? It contains no code from the Linux kernel. It should work on any version of Windows 7 onwards. And of course, because we like our ButterFS beta file systems to go with alpha drivers, this is really the perfect combinations. And this guy, of course, is taking donations to support this work. WinButterFS version 1.0. It has read-write support. Apparently it has support for RAID 5 and RAID 10. So and RAID 6. So what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Have at it, everybody. If you want that, link is in the show notes for all of those thumb drives you formatted in ButterFS and can't get on Windows. I don't know how we missed this next story. August 11th, this happened, and it flew right over our heads. Hewlett-Packard sent a supercomputer into space on one of Elon's rockets, one of the SpaceX rockets, and on a Jono shuttle, and it's kind of cool. It's more interesting than you might even think, because the thing about these computers they usually put up there is they have to make serious modifications, and they end up running like decade-old PowerPC processors, and they have 16 megabytes of RAM, and they have these crazy old AB failover ROMs and all this weird like ancient stuff, so they can't really fully take advantage of high-end computing. Well, we have a Mars to get to, and we're not going to get there with Emacs in our shuttles.
Well, and not only that, but one of the hardest things to deal with these supercomputers is cooling. If you
it's true.
Put it into absolute zero,
it's very cold. Well, so check this out. So this is this HPE Apollo 40 that runs Linux, and it's using their new interconnect memory system. And they made no hardware modifications to the server. They created a unique water-cooled enclosure. I'll show you a picture here in a moment for the hardware. And then they developed purpose-built software that runs on Linux that monitors the environmental constraints and reliability requirements of a supercomputer in space. And so normally you'd have to just totally lock this thing down. You'd have to ruggedize it. You'd have to harden it. You'd clock everything down. You do this crazy cooling, and then you go through a NASA testing process where they test 146 different things about it, and then they certify it. And without making any modifications, by using this software that could automatically change the load on the server and dial it up or dial it down, clock it up, clock it down, based on radiation levels and things like that, they were able to, without making any hardware modifications, just doing it in software, pass all 146 safety tests to put this frickin' super server up into space. Here's by the way, here's a picture of what it looks like.
Does that mean that Linux officially has the most powerful supercomputer not on this planet?
It would have to be, because we don't do this normally. This is like a big deal, and it's sort of a historical event for a supercomputer to be up in space, and for it to be running Linux is awesome. And for the greater goal to be, well, when we go to Mars, we're going to need to be able to play Doom. This is how they're going to do it.
I'm just waiting for the asteroid data centers.
Yeah, that's going to be great. With these just like they'll just go on there and glom on, and they'll just orbit around, and they'll be their offsite backup.
Connected via microwave.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where Backblaze's future expansion is going to go.
Actual cloud storage, space cloud.
You ever notice how every website wants to send you notifications? Is anybody turning those on? I could only imagine how awful that'd be if you actually said, as an experiment on a system I'm going to nuke after like a week, I should just allow all notifications on websites and see what that's like.
I think I have mine automatically set to deny all.
Oh, yeah. All right, so let's talk about one of our cousins, Solaris seems to be dead, as well as the ZFS teams and Spark teams that were employed by Oracle. This is a process that's been going on since December 2016, really, when they laid off 2,500 people from the Solaris division. 2,500 people. Holy crap. And then in January, another 450 were laid off. But then get this. This is so cold. This week, September 1st, Oracle employees started getting FedEx packages from Oracle America Incorporated that you had to sign for. And they're either sent to the home, some were sent to desks. And that was the notification they were getting laid off, is these FedEx envelopes arrived that they had to sign for. And there was no pre-warning. So people around the office start getting these packages, just random people around the office, but not everybody. And so people start opening these up, and they're like, I just got fired. And then the person sitting next to them didn't get a package, and they don't know if theirs is coming yet or not.
And you signed for it, so they know that you saw it.
Yeah. So Simon Phipps tweeted, "For those unaware, Oracle laid off all the Solaris tech staff yesterday in a classic silent end-of-life product move." It's such a crappy way they're going about it, too. And so then people are able to see,
Isn't that's their standard MO, though? I mean, Oracle aren't known for handling anything with tact and diplomacy.
Yeah, it is true. It is really true. Now, you can wonder if some of these maybe will be able to join, some of these developers might be able to join the Illumos project, which is an open source fork of Open Solaris. And of course, ZFS will continue on. There's different projects for that, but geez Louise, I don't know. It seems like Solaris is... So here's how you know Solaris isn't obsolete, even though it seems like it might be to us Linux users. But Oracle knows there's some people that still absolutely need it for their workload. So these cold bastards are going to run virtual Spark on x86 systems. And they're launching a migration... They haven't officially announced this new service yet, but on October 1st, they plan to launch this... move your Oracle Solaris instance to the cloud, and then they're gonna emulate Spark on x86, which that's just gonna rock. That's just gonna rock, and they'll label it as Virtual Spark on x86. Your legacy Solaris apps survive on an x86 Spark emulator. And people are gonna have to buy it because there's these mission critical organizational apps that run on these legacy installations. I've seen it myself. I've worked at places that have used it for weird things like massive statement printing and batch processing jobs and all these weird things you'd think there'd be better systems and faster systems for, but they're totally dependent on it. And so Oracle's going to try to get them to sign up for that virtual Spark on cloud.
Probably great performance.
I think what people ought to do is, if you're stuck in this spot, there's a developer we've talked about before, Brandon Gregg. He works at Netflix. And we've talked about how he's done performance tracing on Linux under really high streaming loads. I know the BSD Now guys like to tell you that they run all FreeBSD over there, but the dirty secret is they run quite a bit of Linux too. And he has done lots of great blog posts, brandongregg.com, about Linux under crazy workloads, tracing processes, metrics on Linux CPU usage, and all that stuff. And he's written a massively comprehensive guide on Solaris Linux migration tips. This is current. He just posted this today. And he goes through all of it, moving to Illumos, moving to Linux. He talks about the future of ZFS on Linux, and OpenZFS projects. He talks about observability, which is something that he has a unique perspective on. Like these are the performance things you should expect. This is how you're going to be able to, if you do these kind of performance tracing and metrics on Solaris, here's what you're going to be able to do, or how you get that information under Linux. It's fascinating. And maybe very, very useful. And it's coming from this guy who's got a lot of experience working at Netflix, and he does a piece here that may be more relevant than ever. Zones versus containers, which if you're interested about this, he's got a good space on.
Sort of a nice transition guide from a smart guy.
Yeah, with a lot of experience. But wow, that's so weird because I don't know. Solaris has literally been around since I've been in the industry. I think. So to me, it seems like one of those never, like IBM's System 390s. Like they're just never going to go AIX. It's just never going to go away. But Solaris or Oracle is ruthless, I suppose. All right, any Solaris stories or closing thoughts on saying goodbye to a cousin of ours before we move on? We do have many things to cover.
Just very sad. I used to work at Sun. Used to work on Solaris.
1993.
Sad news.
My first internet chat room experiences were on Sun machines. Sniff, sniff.
Yeah, this is really the death of Sun as any kind of organizational structure that remained.
Honestly, the way they let them go just does not surprise me. I mean, Larry Ellison is a very famous jerk, and it just trickles down throughout the company, and he set the culture.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least we've got Unbreakable Linux. So everybody go install Unbreakable Linux, because that's the future, obviously. That's the way to go.
Also known as Red Hat.
Oh. Well, so whenever we talk about Wayland, the thing that everybody always writes in or comments on an episode is, when we go to Wayland, how the heck am I going to have remote desktop? Well, remember there's a technology we talked about a little while ago, Pipewire, I think it's called. Well, it may be here to solve our problems. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. First, I'm going to tell you about Ting. You go to linux.ting.com to get $25 off a device or $25 in a service credit if you bring a device and you support this here show. You're still rocking the S6 over there on the Ting network.
Yeah, until it dies.
Are you feeling like it's time for an upgrade?
Not quite yet.
Yeah.
Although some of that new Android O stuff is looking pretty good.
Yeah. Like the notification grouping and stuff is what I like the most.
I think I like the fact that you can upgrade your OS without having to upgrade all the drivers.
Oh, right, because it's the first one to ship with treble.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what's so great about Ting is they're really just mobile the way it's meant to be. They get out of your way. So I have a Nexus 6 on Ting.
Mm-hmm.
It's running. The day O came out, I got it. Ting doesn't get in the way. They don't have to like skin it with the Ting experience, or the Ting video store, the Ting app store. There's none of that. Whatever your device ships with, that's fine. They don't care if you want to get it from Play and bring it over. If you want to go grab a device from their store, they're honey badger about it. Just check their BYOD page. And here's why it matters. You just pay for what you use. You got Wi-Fi where you're at, then you're not on the Ting network. You're not paying for it. If you're on Telegram or WhatsApp or I don't know, whatever messenger you like to use, then you're not using SMS, so you don't pay for it. I never make phone calls unless I have to. Like I was just talking about, I will call somebody through Slack before I will use the phone. So I really don't need to pay for minutes unless I have to make a phone call. So it's just your minutes, your messages, and your megabytes. It's $6 for the line, and then whatever Uncle Sam's cut is, and that's it. You're always in control. You can see your usage at any moment. You can take complete control and set usage alerts. And they have a CDMA and GSM network.
So
pretty good. Pretty good.
Here's my question, Chris.
Pretty.
When is Ting going to start making phones?
I know, right? The Ting phone.
That way I can just get my updates day one for non-Google devices.
In the meantime, they are giving away a Moto E4 Plus. You can get in on that. Go to the Ting blog. Just start by going to linux.ting.com, linux.ting.com. And thanks to Ting for sponsoring the Unplugged program. I'm really excited about Pipewire. It's going to solve so many problems if they manage to pull it off, and I like where they're starting. So a quick recap, Pipewire is a skunkworks project to potentially replace Pulse Audio and GStreamer with one rebuilt from the ground up media pipeline, like a proper media API for a desktop. But it's starting in different areas, and I think this is kind of genius. So, remote desktop under Wayland, never been a thing. Wayland don't got time for that. Wayland is a protocol. It ain't Wayland's problem. So that's the thing. That's what's really been holding it up, is that it's not the job of the Wayland project to implement this. Then it comes down to like your Mutters or your Kwins of the world. And they're going to have to implement something, and this is where Pipewire comes in. It's an API they're building for GNOME Remote Desktop. It's going to be a service that works with GNOME, and it uses dbus APIs to talk to libmutter. Mutter is the GNOME window manager and the Wayland compositor. They're implementing two new APIs, and they're like one's like a screencast one and one's a remote desktop. So screencasting is also a part of this. And the Pipewire stream containing the contents of the system stream will be sent to a system. The new APIs can create full screen streams of just individual windows, which that sounds amazing, which we could totally use that in production. And the former's already been implemented in this code. The new API allows for services such as RDP or VNC servers to be piped through this, which really opens it up to the type of clients you can use. There's all kinds of VNC stuff you can do with it. It's not really clear like when this is going to hit mainline GNOME. It could be a way off. But the test code's out there.
Have they said what language it's in?
I don't think so. I wonder. You'd probably have to whatever Pipewire is written in.
Yeah, I guess.
I would imagine. You know.
I'm just wondering how GNOME independent it is for other people to pick up.
Well, it talks directly to Mutter, so you ain't got Mutter, you ain't got any of this, and nobody but GNOME's crazy enough to use Mutter.
Well, yeah, but you could maybe write bindings for something else.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. What do you think?
As I mentioned a couple of weeks back, that the Wayland default compositor system had it built into it, so everyone's free to implement their own version of it.
Oh, okay.
But it has to be down to the actual compositor itself.
You're talking about Weston? So are you saying Weston has? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Weston had a patch for it
really?
a long time ago. Yeah.
I don't remember us talking about. I know I don't remember us talking about that. But that's great. And so the problem is that people don't use Weston, of course, so they have to get that implementation in their own compositor. Mr. Wimpy, I'd love to kind of pick your brain about this from a Mate perspective and the fact that this is tied directly into Mutter. You have any thoughts on that and Wayland in general?
Well, it's not so much that it's tied into Mutter, but the more I look at Wayland, the more I realise if you are wanting to write a Wayland compositor and all of the other stuff, the Wayland compositors that exist at the moment extend the Wayland protocols. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you have to implement much of what X does for you already in each of the compositor implementations.
Absolutely.
And it feels like a lot of heavy lifting and duplicated effort. And in the smaller projects, there is not the breadth or depth of skills to do that.
I also agree with that.
I have a concern that if we don't coalesce around some standards that are not tightly coupled to a particular desktop implementation, then some of the desktops that we have could become irrelevant in the next 5 to 6 years, because I still reckon that's the time it's going to take for Wayland to really, replace the functionality and serviceability of X for most people.
I think that's 100% spot on. 100%. And it when I see these kinds of things, like, well, this is great. This is gonna be great for GNOME users. This is gonna be really great. But if it is only useful for GNOME and desktops using Mutter, then it's always going to be a niche implementation. I agree with Wimpy. We need something that's common across. We really need something common across all the. Well, I suppose if they're all talking RDP and VNC, it might not matter in the end, but if we have varying implementations or varying levels of performance, it's the exact kind of shit show that Windows and Mac never have to deal with. It is almost the prime example of a Linux shit show that causes hassle for system administrators, end users, and everybody to understand, and it causes a deference of development time.
So on that point, imagine this then, I'll be devil's advocate. What if this move towards Wayland and the technologies that are being developed with most momentum to support this new way of doing things are coming out of the GNOME camp? What if all we're left with at the end of this is GNOME and also KDE, because they're able to keep pace with this? What if the Linux desktop is GNOME? So just like Mac OS and Windows, there is only one desktop environment that you have to now focus on in order to target Linux. Is that better or worse?
Well, here's where I begin to get a little concerned. This alarms me a bit, because you could see it going this way even if it wasn't as black and white as that, Wimpy, but say all of the enterprise market, all of the business market ran GNOME. The DevOps market runs GNOME, where it's such a huge percentage that it becomes the only relevant one in terms of industry, which we could already be sliding in that direction. Not in terms of community weight, but in terms of industry weight. And that's...
Well, I mean, given that, Ubuntu have been dropping Unity in favour of GNOME, hardly makes GNOME niche applications, does it?
Well, that's true. See, the thing is the more I hear about GNOME, the more it feels like a hacked together desktop, and you will need somebody that really knows what they're doing to give you a good GNOME experience. So there's an update on Alan Day's blog about status icons being removed from GNOME 3. Have you guys heard about this in GNOME 3.26? Status icons going away? You know, the ones like your Dropbox icon, your Skype icons, your Discord icons you might have right now as you're listening to this show, VLC. If you want to keep them, the official recommendation of the project is to install Top Icons extension.
I think that may be a Wayland limitation, actually, because I noticed that when I switched to Wayland, my icons just disappeared.
There's a few. They say this long term, the change will be good for end users. They're going to provide a better experience. He goes into some detail. Here, I'll give you the rationale before we go too far. The main reasons relate to two things. They think it'll be a better experience for users, and it'll align with GNOME's wider design philosophies and goals, which is always a great one. So they're going to implement new APIs, notifications, MPRIS, which is media playback, search providers, and libcloud providers for the things like file sync. Here's their core rationale. The design of status icons goes against GNOME's principles. They know from observation that people often only care about a small fraction of their status icons that they are exposed to, but the rest that just get stuck in there don't reflect their interest or any of activities they're doing. And it stems from an old status icon API and the ethos behind it. Users do not opt into status icons. They do not.
How do they know?
Well,
what usability studies have they done? What usability studies have they conducted to back up that point?
What usability studies have they conducted to remove all of the other features that they've removed?
So this is where I'm going with this.
That too. Shouldn't that be able to know from the GNOME extensions.org? Because doesn't it tie into your individual desktop?
Can we pause for a moment, though, and can we have a discussion about the fact that perhaps one of the most relevant Linux desktops, the official recommendation of the project, is if you want that basic functionality, install an extension. And that to me doesn't feel like a sustainable, good route. Like we can't have our most, like this stuff has to be, some of the stuff has to be, it can't be extensions. It has to be baked in.
Well, yeah, like, because if you think about like the knock-on effects from that, every time you update your GNOME desktop, if the extension is not updated, you don't have status icons anymore.
And talk about ultimate fragmentation. Just a support nightmare, a standardization nightmare, a developer targeting nightmare. You have no idea if your users are going to have a status icon. I want to pick your brain, Wimpy, because I know you guys over there at Canonical have been churning out this 1710 desktop, working with GNOME. You guys have got to be coming across stuff like this, you know, with the dock to status icons to testing Wayland. Is GNOME 3 not it? Like, are we going all in on something that's just it's hacked together with extensions? Mutter is a performance hog. Like, I'm JavaScript all over the place. I know I'm hitting typical GNOME talking points, but we are really on the precipice of something here. And I'm curious what you think about it, being right there on the front lines of implementing a modern GNOME desktop right now.
Well, I'm not on the front lines of implementing.
Okay,
GNOME.
near the front lines. You're much closer than the rest of us. Let's put it that way.
I have some sight.
Yeah.
I don't know what the position on indicators are with regards to the Ubuntu implementation. I imagine that we will find out in fairly short order, what with GNOME 3.26 coming along next week, I think, and we're obviously releasing our first GNOME-based desktop a month after that. So it remains to be seen. There are some rough edges that we're running into. You know, we're seeing some processes are crashing way more than we've seen in the past. You know, there are some GNOME services that have a colossal number of duplicates that are crashing in the same way. And that's because we have a lot of users, and there are a lot of users that are very interested in the 1710 release. So there's lots of people that are banging on it even at this early stage. But that gives us the opportunity to use those as data points and identify where the rough edges are and where development effort needs to be focused. And as I understand it, there are good lines of communication upstream. So if we've got good data to support investigation into stabilizing particular pieces, then I'm sure they'll be open to us helping do that.
We have a new update. Is it Didrocks? Am I saying that right?
Yep, that's his handle. Yeah, Didier.
Yeah, Didrocks.fr. He's been posting these like basically Road to GNOME updates, and day 9 is talking about the theme. And I like it. I could see it getting iterated on a bit for the LTS. I could see some areas for iteration, but it looks really good. It looks a lot like the Unity theme, but a little more modern, a little more pro. It has sort of that GNOME 3 polish to it. I really like how this is turning out, and I really like getting these updates too. So what do you think, Wimpy?
We started. I was fortunate in that I was at the Fit and Finish sprint in the Canonical offices in London a couple of weeks ago, and Didier was there, and other members of the desktop team, and we had some feedback from the community as well. So we saw and helped this sort of take shape over a couple of days there, and there's still some work to come to refine it a bit, but it's looking like Ubuntu now, isn't it?
Really? Yeah. I already saw some people getting all worked up about the Amazon button there.
It's inevitable, isn't it?
But we could actually dedicate a whole another show someday to it. Perhaps we will. If people keep, because to me it's nothing like the old Surge. It's a great way for Canonical to make
just
revenue.
A launcher now.
Yeah, it gets you if you're going to go shop on Amazon, and a lot of people use Amazon. It's a clean looking theme, and I think it's going to be a great implementation of GNOME.
And I know you've been following Didier's posts about how we're using some new facilities to segregate the settings for the vanilla GNOME session and the Ubuntu session.
Okay, so talk about that a little bit. Help me crystallize that in my head.
Right, so this is all happening in glib. It's a new feature there. So when you so most of the GTK desktops have this ability where you have default configuration and then you can override it with your distribution or desktop settings. And at the moment, for example, there are certain things where Ubuntu set things up in stock Ubuntu Unity a particular way, and Mate might have the same keys but configure them differently, and Ubuntu Budgie may also configure the same keys differently. So when you install the three desktops beside one another, they clatter, and you don't necessarily get the Budgie experience on Budgie and the Mate experience on Mate, because it will be whatever settings got inherited first. So not only are we using this ability to namespace settings, so now each session has keys that are specific to the session it was launched under, and this is how you get that customization under the Ubuntu login versus the vanilla configuration under the GNOME login. But word was, put out to the Ubuntu Mate team and also to the Ubuntu Budgie team, because we are using the same mechanics to configure our default experience, and now we're able to namespace our configuration so the Mate stuff doesn't tread on Budgie and doesn't tread on Ubuntu and doesn't tread on the default GNOME configurations.
Wow.
So this mechanism goes far wider than just segregating
that happened
Ubuntu's.
Yeah, that's great. So it's sort of
a
flavor-wide improvement.
People are going to use it.
Yeah, and then all the flavors that are can jumped on that. I mean, well, not all, but the flavors that can jumped on. That's awesome.
And then
that's really great.
The theming that you see of GNOME Shell is an extension. Well, not an extension, a GNOME extension, but it builds on that technique. So the GNOME Shell has its own CSS to style it, and when you log into the Ubuntu session, it looks for a different named CSS file. So we don't have to mess with the default styling of GNOME Shell. We have our own separate styling, and that's what's used to style the Ubuntu session.
I would love to see
separated.
I'd love to see more distributions take that on. I'm looking at you, Antergos. I would love to see.
I think it's going to happen because this is a new capability. So this is that we're using the final dev versions of glib in order to do this at the moment, but that's all about to get released alongside GNOME 3.2.6. So this is stuff that will be available to everybody in a matter of days, and other distributions are going to be able to take advantage of this, and they almost certainly will.
So 1710 is going to have support for all known driverless printing standards. I don't even really know. I don't grok that fully. GNOME 3.2.6 and possibly, maybe, we'll see, kernel 4.13.
Possibly.
Woo!
I can. So I know a little bit about the driverless printing stack.
Okay.
So there's a specification that means that printers these days don't have to have all of their own bespoke drivers. They implement a common printing language. So printers that support this, you don't require a big, hefty lump of cups, drivers, and filters and what have you to make them work. So
Nice.
the guy that looks after all the printing stack in Ubuntu, who just so happens to be like the world authority on cups and printing in general. He's like this amazing guy who's dedicated his life to just doing printers well. He's put the whole stack together so driverless printing just works. So if you've got these modern printers, they just magically appear and you can just print to them without any setup or faff.
They should give it a name like the Common Unified Printing Standard.
Yeah, something.
Well, that's the services that power it all, but there's another spec for actually in the printers to define how they operate.
Very cool. Well, that's actually sounds like it's going to make things one of those just works experiences when you have a modern printer that supports that, which is probably. Every time you have a win like that, it really impresses people. Like, it really endears them. Like, you imagine you sit down to use Linux, and you go, oh, crap, time to add the printer. And you go in there, and it just kind of shows up. Yeah, that sells Dells. That's what that does. That's great. Okay, well, so don't go anywhere, MP. Stand by. We have a rally to talk about, but let me get a moment in here with DigitalOcean, my friends over at DigitalOcean. I love it. I love DigitalOcean for all of the reasons that every single day here at Jupiter Broadcasting, we find them more and more valuable. You can get spun up in less than 55 seconds. They have all SSDs for all their machines. The virtualizer is a Linux box running KVM. Oh, Linux powered!
Every software that we don't run locally, Chris, is on DigitalOcean.
It is. I know, and it's just so solid.
People watching the live stream right now, DigitalOcean.
We'll talk maybe more about this later, but when you have a service like this that you can integrate into your business, when they make an API an actual priority, it really is. It's a game changer for us because not only is there just a ton of open source code to let us remotely control our DigitalOcean infrastructure, but we've been able to write our own around it.
Our bot is a DigitalOcean Inception because it runs on DigitalOcean and it also starts DigitalOcean droplets.
That's true. That's awesome. It has lightning fast networking, 40 gigabits into the hypervisors, highly available block storage. You can just add up to 16 terabytes as you need. It shows up as a block device. Load balancing as a service. Pre-built open source apps ready to go, or build it from scratch.
Don't forget about the crazy storage stuff, Chris.
Yeah, they have their storage. Their storage these days is
the block storage.
Such a cool way to play around with things like ZFS or even Btrfs or LVM, and then just at the end of the day, just destroy it all. And you didn't have to go out and buy hundreds of hard drives because you could attach these things as individual block devices, and you could start messing around with the storage managers and do some cool stuff. Or if you're going to get into like high-end CPU intensive stuff, you need to do a batch of a bunch of image processing or video processing or I'm not going to judge what you're doing. They now offer really powerful CPUs with the Skylake Xeons and Broadwell Xeons with like hundreds of gigs of RAM, but they all start at like $5 a month. My favorite rig is 3 cents an hour. DigitalOcean.com. You go over there, and of course, I gotta tell you the most important part. You have to use our promo code DO Unplugged. That'll give you a $10 credit. DO Unplugged, one word, and then you can spin up that $5 machine 2 months for free or run the 3 cents an hour one for a while. It's a great deal. DigitalOcean.com. Just create your account and then apply our promo code DO Unplugged. It's one word. It supports the show. And thanks to DigitalOcean for sponsoring the Unplugged program. Hey-o. So the Ubuntu Rally is an event taking place in New York City, September 25th through the 29th. It's like a 5-day hackathon. And I'm really excited because I think it's going to be the timing of the event is with the new Ubuntu 17.10 and Mark's back as the CEO. He's going to be there. I think it's going to be a pretty big event, but Wimpy's going to be going. Wimpy's going to be there. What do you think, Wimpy? Is this something that I should definitely try to make it out to?
Yes,
I was hoping
you should definitely.
Good, because I'm planning to.
Now, is that because of the contents of the rally, or you just want to see the hair?
I just want to see Wimpy.
I'm talking to him.
So yeah, Chris is in a unique position where he can, look at this with observer's eyes and also see, how the sausage is made. So the event itself is very much, developer focused, and it's a sprint, a 5-day hackathon sprint. composed of major software vendors, Ubuntu engineering, people from every level of the stack, and community contributors as well. And it's a doing sprint, so there is going to be a lot of furious energy and activity this week. So we've got a lot of people from Canonical going. We've invited some people from around the community to attend, and we have, because space is limited, we have some slots remaining for non-sponsored places, which basically means if you're local to New York or you can arrange your own travel and accommodation, then let us know if there's something you really want to work on, and we'll review those proposals. And if we can accommodate you, we'll extend you an invitation to join us. That's not a funded invitation. That's you can get in the room, because
we have a spot
limited space, and we can't just have people
Mm-hmm.
walking in off the street and filling the place up, because I've got a tight schedule of stuff that we're going to be working on.
It's meant to get work done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm going to be a fly on the wall when the work happens, because I don't want to interrupt that. I just want to observe, and I'm paying my way. I'll haul my way there, and I think that's going to be I'm hoping a good chance to, like Wimpy said, not just see how the sausage is made, but rekindle connections that I haven't seen some of these people in person. I haven't or met them in person, but only talked to them online. So many great opportunities around that.
I watched your short little vlog, Chris.
Yeah.
You were super excited about it.
I was, yeah. It's fun. I love to travel. So any chance I get to travel, I'm down for it.
There's a lot of buzz around this at the moment, and there's some interesting people coming along who are from outside the company as well. So it will be a rare opportunity to sort of see those interactions.
Anybody you want to name, or do you want to just leave it vague?
Well, there are some large companies coming who I don't want to name at the moment because I don't want to steal their thunder.
Sure.
And then there's also people that we do know in the community. So the likes of Ike Doherty from Solus is going to be there. The Elementary guys are going to be there. KDE representation's going to be there. So, a lot of those people in the community that we're working alongside, some GNOME developers are going to be there. I hear there's going to be some more work on Wayland and high DPI taking place. And then, IoT manufacturers and PC OEMs, getting their input on the direction of the desktop. Active community contributors and people working on snaps and language and ecosystem developers, people that are working on the new generation of languages and stuff like that.
This sounds like it might be a good way or a good place to talk about some of that Wayland standardization stuff.
It could be something that gets discussed, couldn't it?
So I was wondering, does Canonical have offices in that area? Was New York picked because it's a high-profile location that people can get to? Like, what's the story there? Do you know?
My understanding is that New York was chosen because it's a hotbed of technology companies in the area.
And companies can make it.
You think that was the main reason?
Makes sense, yeah. Yep, I will. That'll be my first experience of New York. I've never been, so I've always wanted to go. Never thought I would sleep in the truck when I went to New York, but
it's pretty intense, Chris.
So if anybody's got some New York tips for truck camping,
I've got a tip for you, Chris.
Yeah.
Don't sleep in the truck.
Yeah, I know. I think before I go, I'm considering maybe I should get my front windows tinted. My back windows are tinted, but I got to think about these things.
Be prepared for complicated driving. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but I am.
Well, you got to remember, this is a city that's only a couple miles across, and it's got a higher population than some states.
I've been through some bad traffic, so I'm not too worried about it because I can be a monster. I can. This
is next level. Chris.
Watch out for Chris. New York needs to worry about me. That's what I'm saying.
I can't wait to see that city crush you.
That's gonna be a vlog right there. Yeah, that is gonna be a vlog. The whole thing's gonna be a vlog. Actually, I think it's gonna be. I'll try to vlog the trip there, and as much as they'll let me run the camera, I'll sneak around and try to get as much vlogging done as I can. Don't tell Wimpy that though, because he might.
I heard nothing.
Good. Good. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I think that's going to be a good event, and I'll report back, and I'll go for the audience and let them know what it was like. I've always wanted to kind of see how you guys do that, too. And it's a good way to sort of show some of the community involvement, I think, that's sometimes overlooked. All right, I want to talk about something that I think is a potential missed opportunity for Linux. We've talked a lot about a lot of things, though. So if there's something we talked about that you want more experience with, something that you think might be an area of interest, especially what we're about to get into, I want you to consider going to Linux Academy. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. You sign up for a free 7-day trial. And you support the show. Now, it's a platform that's built by Linux enthusiasts to teach people more about Linux. And they've done some really smart things. They have probably the most sophisticated courseware virtual machine infrastructure that I've seen on any online site. It's particularly built for Linux users. You choose your distribution, the courseware and the virtual server match that. You can SSH into the box. It gives you an address to connect into. You can use whatever you want to interact with that, so it's nice and smooth. They have hands-on scenario-based labs that give you real experience.
And course planning.
Yeah, that is really nice for busy schedules or if you got a particular thing you want to learn. And instructor mentoring, so if you do get stuck and you need that human touch, they've got it. Practice exams before you go take the big test. Flashcards that are forked by the community, which is stacked full of Jupiter broadcasts. You remember? Stacked! See, it's flashcards and they're stacked. Oh, I did that. They also have Android and iOS apps that you can study on the go. And speaking of studying on the go, they also have offline content that you can, listen to when you're not connected to the internet, or maybe while you're driving or doing the dishes. It's great, and you can go in there and just really wrap your head around anything you want to learn because they break it all down for you in easy to process chunks of time. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. Big thank you, Linux Academy, for sponsoring the Unplugged program. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. So the bots are coming, and they really are. I mean, they're coming, and it's not for the stuff that we think, like customer support and all these external-facing things where you chat with a bot to get help. Yeah, that's coming too, but that's not what I'm worried about.
That's old school bots.
Yeah, that's basic B bots right there. That's basic bot. That's what that is. It really is, actually. I think the future are bots like our friend Michael Dominic has created over at themadbotter.com. And he's made a bot called Alice. Here's a free plug for you, Mike. It's a PMO. It replaces the PMO. Maybe not for a large company, but definitely for a small team or a remote team.
Well, you never know. It could scale.
Yeah. And it does all of the project follow-up and all of that. It even does the client follow-up when they haven't paid bills. It replaces the PMO role. And it's so obvious when you think about it because you have these huge back-end infrastructure where you can, Microsoft will give companies like the Mad Botter free credits to run on their serverless architecture where it just fires off batch processing and then gives you the results. Amazon has something similar. So does Google. All of these are proprietary back-end infrastructures. But these bots that are actually useful, we have a few we've talked about here on the show, and we're building more. It's going to start replacing the compute jobs where you're taking data from one field and translating and entering a different field, where you're working with spreadsheets or approving documents. A lot of the back-end work is going to be handled by bots, stuff that we attributed to human jobs, stuff that we think is more the blue-collar work that isn't going to get replaced by automation too soon will be replaced sooner because these bots can be controlled and built and innovated, and it's all the buzzwords, way faster than any of these actual physical robots that we're building, or AIs. Because AIs are supposed to be these all-purpose, intelligent machines. But bots are very task-driven. They have a set of things they have to do, and they can do them really well. We had a great email that came into Coda Radio weeks and weeks ago. And this guy was really stuck in a hard spot. He was in a total moral problem because he essentially botified his work. He had created a basic bot, that automated 90% of his job. And he was basically only working 10% of the time. And the error rates had gone down so far that this guy had to introduce he modified the bot after a certain point to start reintroducing error rates so it looked like human work. And he's like, what do I do? Because if I tell them this, I'm basically out of a job.
Yeah.
And he is a sysadmin. He's an IT worker.
Yeah.
And they're all built on like these Microsoft and Google frameworks. Linux is like out. Like there's Mycroft out there, but that's not really happening. This, this would have been great if Mycroft could have gone in this back end direction.
Mycroft is more generalized, more like Alexa as well.
Yeah. Wow, you didn't trigger it. That's amazing. Cancel. Just in case somebody else, right? What do you think? I'm worried that Linux is missing out on what is obviously going to be a huge moneymaker for developers, for people running the back-end services. It's going to need a lot of deployment of back. I should probably round this out because I get so excited about this that I miss out major pieces. I want to round this out. I think the type of bots that are going to be successful will be the internal company bots. Ones that maybe have slight rough edges but do their job. And they're built internally, they're hosted internally, or they're hosted using like these Microsoft services. They're not customer interfacing. They don't have to have perfect understanding of human English. If you just go through the right steps, you get it to do what you need.
Yeah, you just need a purpose-built bot that can connect into all these rich APIs.
So I think it's these internal bots. They're going to go pervasive throughout companies and replace a lot of data processing and input and these kinds of jobs just like a virus. And the problem is right now, I believe the best, like built, ready to go, here's an API. It all runs on Windows.
Yeah.
And we've been following the story on Coder Radio, and it seems like they're getting a lot of traction with it. Like it's becoming to be a part of Microsoft's business now.
I think it's only going to be a problem if we let it become a problem, though, because it's not particularly difficult to write these bots. It's just nobody's doing it.
Right. Well, I think it's gonna be like the app gold rush. Yeah. This is like the next app rush.
Yep.
All right. Anybody in the Mumble Room want to take another side or want to contribute a bit and have any thoughts on if Linux is missing out? Sort of like we've missed out on some other trends, some of which like VR have sort of fizzled, others which seem to be holding more and more, and gaining more traction.
No, I don't think Linux is going to miss out because I do agree that bots are a new wave of technology and services are going to be deployed on top of bots, but they'll be available through Discourse and Slack and Telegram and WhatsApp and all the rest of it. So I don't know that we're going to be excluded from that.
I was thinking more from like an infrastructure standpoint. I'm more worried about Amazon and Microsoft. They're already there, super serving, giving away credits. You can, if you're a small business, they have like these they have these programs you sign up for, and they give you hours and hours of free runtime.
Yeah, locking the developers into their platforms.
And that's where I'm worried we're missing out. It's not so much getting access to interfacing with the bots, but being the back-end infrastructure. Sort of like, how Apache and that whole LAMP stack was such a boom for Linux. And in a big way, the app economy has too. Like a lot of these apps that are on people's Android devices and phones, they're connecting to Linux boxes on the back end. But in this case, these bots, they're connecting to Amazon. They're connecting to Microsoft. And in Microsoft's case, they're running on Windows. And if you want on-premise, you also have to run Windows. That I'm worried about. You're supposed to make me feel better about that.
No, I'm thinking about it, and I don't have any soothing words for you right now.
Yeah, it could be one of those things where there's going to be something that really kind of comes together. Like you could actually see Matrix playing. Speaking of Matrix life, you could see Matrix playing a role in this even, and that being run on Linux.
Yeah, I'm officially making a call out to awesome Linux developers to make awesome bots on Linux.
Yeah, well, let's get started. We're working on some.
Yeah,
our bots run on Linux.
Yeah, well, we're rewriting our bots to be more task oriented, I guess.
Yeah, breaking it out.
Yeah, to be more focused on individual tasks and spread across more platforms, so we can replace a lot of the manual things that we do.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us, we won't even know. Like, it'll be an internal thing that happens. Like, the audience never knows what we use bots for to automate. Like, it's just it's a transparent thing. So it's gonna be a very silent revolution.
One day JBot will just show up on Discord and you can do all the things there.
Yeah. This is great when we do projects like this because it's a great way for people to get in and work with us and have where there is a novelty for a community to rally around and work together on, and it's a great way to get involved in open source projects. I know it's very self-serving for me to say that, but if you do want to check it out, discord.me/JupiterColony and look for the Jupiter Dev channel.
And on top of that, for anybody interested, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, we'll be having a audio and text-based developer meeting for this stuff specifically.
That would be Wednesday, September 6th
Correct.
at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Correct.
We could put it on the calendar if you remind me.
All right.
And then people could just get it converted. Yeah, and the I'll stop plugging, but the thing that is appealing to developers with these bots is you get to work against a set of documented APIs and integrations. So it's sort of like the breadcrumbs are laid out for you, and the companies have a lot of momentum behind these areas. So it's sort of a fun area to get into, and it's sort of like also you have, what do you call it, bumper, when you have those bumpers in the bowling alley? What is that called? It's just called bumpers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's like bowling with bumpers. Because everything's there, it's documented for you. You have a community that's already structured together. They're rallying around a common cause.
Yeah, and all you need to do is write a plugin on top to interface with whatever you want to use, rather than write the whole stack.
I think back to that IT guy who he replaced himself with a bot that did so good. It did better than he did. And he was worried about getting caught, so he had to...
I think that he actually shouldn't worry, because even if it replaces him, there needs to be somebody to maintain that bot.
Yeah, that was, I think, part of my advice on Coda Radio, if I recall, because you're right. Yeah, somebody... And I said, maybe the bot could fix other problems, too.
What he should pitch is he should go and show them his bot and tell them that it can replace all these other people.
Well, that was part of his conundrum, is there was, I think, 3 other people involved in verifying the data, and when the data was perfect, they didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
And so he was essentially working them out of a job, too, and he felt bad about that. That was another reason he introduced errors.
Yeah.
So he had the sysadmin, they got the systems talking to each other, and did the data exports, and tried to then move that into like an Excel file, and he would do that by hand, and then hand it off to these 3 ladies, I think it was, is what he said in his email. I can't remember now. That would then go through and error check it and fix it against the master data or whatever. I don't know. I barely understand the process. And he replaced all that.
Yeah, I think in a couple of years, I think jobs are going to be a very different concept. There's going to be less doing the work and more maintaining the things that are doing the work.
Well, that could be good. That could be.
Yeah, but that also means there's probably going to be less jobs.
I suppose. If you think about it in a weird way, it has enabled us to do more in the studio with less people.
Yep.
There's less things for me to worry about when I'm setting up a live show, because with one command I execute like 4 different things in the background.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty handy.
It's only a matter of time until I figure out how to automate video editing, Chris.
Well, we just need some sort of like sonic marker. Every time you hear the bell, you just make an automatic edit, Like if you could do it with Myth TV and commercials back in the day, we should be able to do it with JB shows.
Yeah, but who's going to be able to figure out the most embarrassing clips to put in at the beginning of the shows?
That's true. That's true. Well, we need machine learning for that part, you see. All right, Beardsley, where should people find you throughout the week?
Over at twitch.tv/RKLP or twitter.com/RKLP.
Well, a big thank you to Wimpy for making it. I know he had recording, and he was recording his show. Check him out at Ubuntu Podcast. Anywhere else you want to send people, Wimpy?
No, just to Ubuntu Podcast. We've recorded the sessions where the winner of the Entroware Apollo laptop is announced, and all of the entries that people created. It's fantastic.
Cool.
And also, if you're an interested developer to New York.
Yeah, let me know at Chris Elias if there's any New York stuff, any New York tips for me. All right, we'll see you back next week. Wes will be here for another episode. This was Lucky 213. We got through it so far. Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us. See you next week. Shout out to Caster Soundboard playing under Solus using a snap, taking us in and out of the show. Officially, the first time we've had a snapped version of Caster Soundboard on Solus. That worked really well.
By the skin of our teeth.
Yeah, by the skin of our teeth, but we got it. We did actually get it. That was that was fun. All right, so what do we get for titles? What do we get? Boy, you guys, I wish I had a way to capture what it's like here today. So I woke up and it was ominously yellow outside. It was very yellow. And we have essentially all of Eastern Washington's on fire and parts of Oregon. It is brutal how many. If Harvey wasn't going on, this would probably be a national story.
It's less yellow now. It's more of like a jaundice yellow.
Yeah, now it's turned jaundice as the day's gone on. But when the sun is lower, higher in the sky, it's this weird, eerie, and there's smoke everywhere, and it's snowing ashes.
Well, even when the sun got high in the sky, like up until like noon, it felt like it was like dawn or dusk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's 90 degrees today, so it's extremely hot
and humid.
Yeah, and very humid. It's wet in here.
Yeah, I think we're near 50% humidity.
And so Angela said she's having chest pain today from the smoke because it's so thick. And when I'm driving around, I'm driving through ash like there's been a volcano. It's really something. Like when my car sits, the truck sits, it gets covered in ash. The bots are coming. Pipewire Pipe Dream. That's pretty good, Stonic. That's pretty good. Butter Smooth. Veratunda's Lone Lup. Solaris Sunset. Aw. Sun was here. Wow.
You know the worst part, Chris, is because of you, we are under WASP attack, and I have to have my room window closed.
No, the screens. Don't you have a screen?
I do, but somehow the WASP still got in.
Oh, why? This other screen's been working. All right, anybody else have an off-the-cuff recommendation for a title? The Bots Are Coming is the top one, but was that the thrust of our conversation? I don't know if people are going to be into that. If you saw that, would that entice you to listen?
I would have a comment about the status icon systray thing you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
We never had that. We never had that with Enlightenment because the reason was the developers said that there was never a clean implementation following the free desktop standard, so they never really implemented it.
What about GNOME takes
Which I
over?
find. Sorry?
No, you're right. Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done. Finish your thought.
No, I found that very interesting because for years people were asking for a systray in the Enlightenment desktop. And the developers always say there is never a clean implementation, so we don't do it.
It is funny how systray icons have been this ongoing, non-stop problem, really since Unity.
Well, it's because everybody creates their own version of it, and there's no standardized implementation.
It's maddening.
Well, no, there is. So KDE came up with the status notifier. I've forgotten what the I stands for. Status notifier indications or something. And that's what the Ubuntu indicators are based on. It's the same specification.
So why isn't Enlightenment using that then?
Or GNOME?
Don't know.
I'm curious.
They just refused.
So I guess this is the part I meant to put in the show, because here's what I was distracted by the other things about GNOME I wanted to say, but here's the problem with their new approach, I think. Their new approach is solid if everyone that writes a GNOME application starts using their new APIs, the new 4 APIs they've made to replace tray icons. The issue is GNOME doesn't have that kind of weight. We've seen this over and over again now with GNOME 3. They make these changes that are great if the entire world is writing applications only for GNOME, which is happening more and more, but it's not the state of the Linux desktop. And so that's why this is a problem. And so they're essentially forcing the hands of the majority of GNOME users to use top icons, at least for the foreseeable future, until developers update their GTK applications. And let's be honest, the developers that are going to update their GTK applications are the most passionate GTK apps, and they're also the ones that are the most feature... what's a polite way to say this? I don't want to say...
Rich.
Well, I would say your apps that are most feature rich get updated the slowest on GNOME, and your apps that, here's another way to put it, your apps that are newer and still missing features. How about that?
Thin and light.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to be nice about it because they're going to get there eventually. But look at Polari, or look at the new GNOME Photos, or look at GNOME Games, the GNOME Calendar. These are all early days applications, and these are the applications that will update to support the new standard, the ones that have the minimal amount of use, and classic applications like Thunderbird and Lightning, the calendar, and Firefox aren't going to support the new APIs, and users will suffer.
From the way they phrased it, it kind of sounded like maybe they don't want a lot of these apps to update because they think that the tray icons are too cluttered. So maybe they just are expecting a lot of these to not update and not have tray icons.
So I submitted as a title something about GNOME. I can't remember what I suggested. What was it?
Chris, your name is listed.
GNOME Takes Over. That was my title suggestion. GNOME Takes Over. GNOME. How about GNOME Does It Again? No, I don't. We don't have to be incendiary, but it seems like people would listen to that.
I'll be honest. Ever since we talked about New York, all I can think about is bacon pancakes.
Bacon pancakes. I'm sweating bad, so we got to come up with a title because we are dripping. It is so wet here and hot. That's the best thing about Washington. It's just so humid. It's so great. People talk about Florida. Is Florida worse than this? Because, geez, I'm sorry, guys. That's rough.
How about Gnome Cuts features?
Yeah, I agree. All of my air filters are going to have to be changed. And in the RV, we're constantly pulling in outside air through our stuff. So I'm going to have to go through and clean all my filters. What are you going to do? I'm going to also get my truck serviced after this, too. Get the air filter replaced. Because it's not like driving. It's thick in some places. Other places, it's not so thick. It depends on the wind. The bots are coming is still the top title. Come on, guys. Oh.
Gnome drives forward?
I hate you guys.
I didn't think the title was that bad, Chris.
I'm sweating. So I want something around Gnome, I think.
How about Gnome - don't sweat it?
I think Gnome does it again, is it? It's just kind of incendiary.
I mean, it depends on the context you take it in.
That's true. Could be they've pulled off another incredible design.
Yeah.
Oh.
Plus, there's all those that new stuff they added with the remote desktop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, it's good. I'll write up the pitch. I'll do that. That's how I'll do it. All right. Everybody is relieved of duty. Thank you all for making it. I really appreciate it. There's no tech snap. They pre-recorded.
Yep.
So they went.
There is a tech snap, just not a live one.
Yeah, but thank you for making it, Mumbrum. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, Wimpy.
See you soon. Yeah, bye for now.
Okay, bye. Bye, guys. Thank you for making it. Chat room, Discord room, thank you, too, for making it. Really appreciate you being here and being a great part of the conversation. Everybody was very helpful and useful today, and I think, this may be I'm hoping, the beginning of the end of the summer slowdown. I think we'll probably have more people showing up in the Mumble and in the chat room as sort of people's lives go back to normal.
Did you see, Chris, that you're being offered beers in New York from R.O. Gabe?
Isn't that great? Warm beers, too. He's warming them up for me. So,
warm?
Yeah. Oh, that's how people like it.
That sounds very European.
The warmer the beer is, the more you actually can taste it. The colder it is, the more it shocks your taste buds and you can't fully taste it. So to truly enjoy the beer, one must drink warm beer.
So you're saying that I should just have beer popsicles?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Coors and Coors right on the cans, drink as cold as possible. That's why. That's why.
Hilarious.
Thanks, guys. See you later.